Welcome everybody formally now to our Asian Supervisors Network meeting. We always meet the last Wednesday of the month in Asia. And today we are going to be discussing the new ICF Supervision Specialization. It's not a credential, but it still takes some time to digest specialization versus credential. So every time that I say credential, I am going to correct myself, say not a credential. And I was asking, why not a credential to ICF? And the reason why it's not a credential is because they don't have in place a system to do an evaluation, like a multiple choice test, like we have for ACC, PCC, MCC, ACTC, are the 4 ICF credentials. The ACTC is the one for team coaches, and all of them require that people go through a multiple choice test to get accredited. And eventually, one day, it will be one for mentor coaching and one for supervision. But we don't know how long would that take. But meanwhile, instead of not having anything in place, there is these specializations that will have their own badge. So 3 more letters to add to your name. Like it's going to be too many letters. Like soon there are going to be more letters than my name after my name. And so there are going to be 3 letters for the supervisor accreditation, and there is another 3 letters for the master mentor coaches accreditation from ICF. So I don't know if you want, I can also talk briefly about the credential for mentor coaches if anybody's interested. So I cover the 2 specializations. Is anybody interested in that, in the mentor coaching too? Couple of people, 3, half of the people are interested. So I can just talk about it because I did a presentation. I was asked for the coaching week to do a presentation in Spanish. So I studied everything to do my presentation in Spanish. So now I say, okay, now that I have done it in Spanish, I can do it in English for this network. And I am also going to do it for the America's Coaching Supervision Network. And I have been in touch also with people from ICF to give me some answers to questions. So I may be able to answer some of your questions that you may have. So in terms of the session today, my idea is just to do a brief presentation. I have slides. I will share with you the slides if you want, so you can have them. All of this information you can find them in the website. So I took the slides, the information from the website, and basically give you some guidance about what you need to know to apply for the accreditation, for the specialization. Okay, let's see how many times I make the mistake here. So before we start, what I want to share is that this is brand new. You cannot apply yet, so there is not it still is not available. But I do believe that it's going to have some benefits to go and get it. Now, if you have the ESIA, and here Michel Moral has been one of the founders of that credential, the EMCC credential. So Michel, who is here with us today, he has been a pioneer and has worked for years in developing the credential, helping with the competency framework from EMCC. And I remember I was number 10th. I was the 10th person who got the SEIA credential, and the first one in the United States. And now how many we have, Michelle? Like 400 people?
6, something like 700 and something.
Wow.
And it's growing like that. I mean.
Okay, so people are seeing that there is a value of getting an accreditation. Why? Because I give you credibility. So I'm very impressed that, well, I'm very proud to be the first one in the United States. And I also supported the first one in Argentina, in Mexico, in Brazil. I sponsor all of them because originally when I started training coaching supervisors in Spanish in Latin America, I wanted to be sure they all were accredited. So now we have this new specialization, and if you have seen the competency framework for ICF, it's not very different the one from EMCC. If you go and you compare the 2 frameworks, they are not very different. At the end of the day, they follow to some extent the idea of The 7I model from Hawkins and Shohead, some of that is there. The three functions of a supervisor, formative, normative, and supportive, is there. So this is the foundation. These are the sources of where these frameworks came up from. And even though they didn't use this framework, the ICF, when they were doing the research and they came up with this framework, they didn't use any of that. They still came up with that. So like I was saying to the people who work in the competency framework from ICF to look at the EMCC ones, and they say, we don't want to know about them. We don't want to be influenced by what's already there. We want to start from scratch. So they based the research, they interview people, they interview supervisors, and came up with something that at the end is very similar to what EMCC came up. So Michelle, that means that whatever you came up with at the beginning, you were on time.
Well, I was part of it. It was interesting because we did our framework bottom down, and ICF did it top down, and ICF did it bottom up. It's interesting because at the end, it's about the same. So,
Get to the same place.
yeah.
Okay, the difference in between, this is interesting because between the two associations, and I have been involved with the MCC because the truth is that when I came up with my accreditation program, a company hired me and told me, if you train our coaches as supervisors, you need to get an accreditation. So find out who is accrediting. So I did my research, and at that time only EMCC and AC were the two only associations that were offering accreditations. Right now, there are many. So, Michelle, now who else is providing accreditations for supervisors?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've not tried to count a lot, but these are small groups, small,
Mhm.
and I think what we miss numbers, in fact.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what is interesting is that the new what some of the differences between the two accreditations, there are differences. How EMCC look at things and how ICF look at things. So for example, I do believe that the EMCC is much more strict, is much more academic. And for any accreditations of programs, they require many more hours and resources, and they are much more academic compared to the ICF. So for example, EMCC required for accreditation of supervision programs 150 hours. And ICF didn't come out yet with the final accreditation process, but I think it will be around 50. This is as a requirement to get accreditation training, not the specialization. And then everybody who have been already trained, you don't have to go back to be trained again. Okay, you can apply by showing that whatever you have done is aligned to the ICF competency framework. So Michelle, all of your graduates from your programs in France, everybody else who went CSA, I assume is going to do it. I am going to do it. I have several people here graduates from my program. Wherever you went to school, you need to go to the administrators and ask them to prepare a document for you that shows how the program correlates with the ICF coaching supervision framework. Make sense? It's like what ICF required for people to get a credential, any credential with ICF when they went through a program that is not accredited or approved by ICF. People can still apply for a credential. And that is going to be the same. You people don't need necessarily to go by a program accredited by ICF to go and apply for a specialization. But wherever they go, they need to show that whatever they have done is aligned to ICF framework. But for most of us who have already a credential with the MCC, the two frameworks are very similar, so there is not going to be an issue at all. What they are not going to do is they are not going to give you, because you have an ESIA credential with the MCC, that doesn't mean that you're going to get automatically a credential with ICF. So because you have the credential with the MCC does not mean that you get automatically the specialization. You still need to demonstrate that you have hours of experience, hours of training, and your own supervision. So I'm going to go over that in a minute. So what are the requirements? Before I start sharing, are there any questions, anything that is in your mind that you
Hmm.
want to bring here so I'm not the only one talking? Any questions, anything that's coming up for you? Any reactions to this specialization? Anything that anybody want to say?
I
Um,
would, no. Go on, go on.
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead. I'll go after you.
Go ahead, Nushli. Good to see you. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. Thanks. Glad to be here again, to have this energy. I'm curious, is there a renewal process for this as well?
Yes. There is a renewal process with expectation for you to get units of education and your own supervision. What makes sense? Yeah, I will share that. There is some information about that I will share with you too. It's in one of the slides.
Well, my question is, what is the purpose of doing that?
Or doing what?
Of introducing a specialization?
Okay, there is an answer to the question. I have a slide about that. But
Okay, okay. Well,
what ICF is saying is that, and interesting, when we talk about ICF, who is ICF? ICF is all of us. If not,
hmm,
we say ICF. We are all ICF. But what the people who came up with this framework, what they are saying is that having a specialization will give more credibility to the role of supervisors, and because now supervision is required for team coaching certification. So, like, and eventually one day it may be also required for coaching, like it's for EMCC. I've been advocating for this for 15 years now, I don't know, 13 years. One day it may happen. For now, it's not. But still, if there is a requirement for team coaches to receive supervision, what are the minimum expectations that the supervisors needs to fulfill to be able to provide that? And starting next year, all of the people who are going to be applying for a team coaching credential will need to show that the supervisor has this specialization. It's a requirement starting next year. But is everybody following me? And then also it's going to happen with mentor coaching. So far, you need to be in the registry, you need to have an accreditation that's enough to be a mentor coach. Starting next year, mentor coaches are going to have to show that they have mentor coaching training, mentor coaching experience, and that they follow the ethical procedures. So there is going to be a specialization also for mentor coaches. And if the mentor coach does not have a specialization, they will not be able to provide the service. It will not be valid. So it's about standards. It's about standards. It's about having higher standards. That's the reason, Michelle, we both of us have been advocating for this for years, because it's one of the ways to bring the whole professional practice to the next level.
hmm.
Okay, so let
I
me,
have a question.
yes.
So this is on mentor coaching. What happens to people who have gone through a mentor coaching certificate, which is has the CCUs from ICF?
Is going to be like the same. It's something you have done in the past. So you will need to demonstrate that that program that you have done correlates to the framework for ICF mentor coaching framework. So you will need, whoever gave you the CCE needs to come up with a document that shows that, and you submit that to ICF to apply for that specialization. And for this specialization is the same. Whoever got your training and whoever gave you a certificate, you will need to show the certificate, and you will need to show the document that shows how that program aligns to the ICF supervision framework. And then, like, I will go for whenever open, because it's not open yet. You cannot apply for the specialization or for the accreditation of the program. And I will go and I will get my accreditation too. So the new people who start in the future, they will be able to use that certificate, and all of the past graduates will use the document that I'm going to put together. Okay. Janelvir, you look like concerned. Are you? Or what is in your mind? You're on mute. What is that?
A lot of things
What
going
is in your
on.
mind? Share
Oh,
with us.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm listening to you and see how we can just put all this together. Yeah.
Okay, so let's let. let me share. Okay. Can you see the presentation? It says ICF Coaching Supervision Specialization. Okay,
Yes, yeah.
good. Okay, and as I said, I will share this with you, so you don't need to take notes or worry about it. Should be like this. This happens. This is again.
I have one question, Damian.
Yes.
So we're talking about mentoring. So that are we expecting some certification for the mentoring by ICF as well?
Yes, yes, there is a specialization. There are two specializations, one for coaching supervision and one for mentor coaching. And starting next year, you will need to have that specialization to be able to provide mentor coaching services inside and outside schools. If you work in a school, inside your school. If you do it outside, outside.
Okay, great.
Going to be a
Thank you.
requirement. And then it's going to be a badge. You see, like we have a badge for the credential with ICF. And also there is a
Yes.
badge for the ACTC for the credential as a team coach. There are going to be badges too for coach supervisor and for mentor coach. Okay, and the name of this specialization in supervision is CSS. CSS, that means Coaching Supervision Specialization. Okay, that's the name of the specialization. So the idea is why this matters. The idea is that supervision is a safe space for people to reflect and strengthen coaching practice. So the challenge is, as the coaching profession is growing, we need more standards and more clarity. So that's the reason, Michelle, answering to your question. And because of the challenge of anybody saying it's a supervisor, by having some standards and by getting a specialization, is that you know that people have done some training, follow ethical standards, and get the support from the association to provide the service. And it's going to be also a requisite. So ICF wants to know that all of the supervisors and all of the mentor coaches have the right training and experience to provide the services. So the idea is that it's an advanced professional practice that ICF start validating. It took some time for ICF to start coming up with a competency framework. And for a while, it didn't pay too much attention. I remember I went to ICF and I asked to have a community of practice, and they told me, no, it's not a strategic priority. We're talking about 12, 11, 10 years ago. And that's the reason why we started the America's Coaching Supervision Network, and now we have 400 members. And that was because at the beginning, ICF was not very responsive. And who is ICF? Is the staff, the senior managers, and some of the volunteers at that time. What is tricky that the volunteers change all the time. So whoever are the leaders in the board and in all of these different groups rotate all the time. So what is the idea is that this CSS will provide some quality because we define some shared standards, ethical issues. We will train supervisors, and there will be a registry. So when people are looking for a supervisor or a mentor coach, they can go to this registry to look to be sure that the people have the specialization. There was a survey done, also, Michelle, going back to your question, why to do that. And ICF was asking in the surveys about what people thought about the standards for coaching supervision. And they were asking people's opinions and coaches, what they thought about supervision. And it's interesting that 75% consider that supervisors should be trained. Because many people say, oh, supervision is coaching the coach. You don't need any extra training. So no, it is much more than coaching the coach. So that's the reason why 75% of the people who are part of this survey believe that people should receive training as supervisor. And many highlight ongoing training as key to competence. So the idea is that the people need to continue learning, and that the reason why 67% consider that it's important to receive supervision. And also 70% recommended supervision for supervisors themselves. So that the idea that want to be sure that people continue learning, the supervisors continue learning, that the reason why there are going to be renewal of the specialization every 3 years, and it's a requirement also to receive supervision of supervision. And then the supervisors of supervisors, we also need supervision. Everybody needs supervision. And the supervisors of the supervisors of the supervisor also need supervision. So no matter what you are, we all need supervision at the end of the day. And so the idea is that the CSS means that supervisors will do the job with judgment, ethics, and confidence. So it's going to be a global specialization with global standards. There is the registry where people can find you, a badge that is, as I was saying before, with a digital credential. And ICF also will be, for ICF, it means that you're aligning your practice with the ICF standards and competencies. Okay, and then in terms of ACTC, that's one of also the areas why that was developed is the ACTC, the team coaching credential. There are some changes in the accreditation. So starting in effective January next year, people who apply for a team coaching credential, they will have to show that the supervision is done by somebody with the specialization, not anybody. Or with an accredited supervisor like ESYA. Everybody who has an accreditation from EMCC, it's also going to be valid for people applying for this team coaching credential. And I think that for what I know, AC also has a credential. And I think there is one more association in Europe. What is the association that if you was part of it, she was the president. Michelle, do you remember this other association of executive coaches and supervisors? APAC. I don't know if anybody familiar with that association in Europe.
Oh, there is an association called ANSI in Europe, ANAC, with
No, it's AP. It's an association is called APAC or
Apex,
something.
APCS, Apex.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
And they, I think, also provide a credential for coaching supervisors.
Exact. Yeah. But some association, some little groups in some countries have a credential, but you know it's marginal. When it's a group, when it's an association of less than 200 people, and they have an accreditation for 20 of them, it's nothing, you know, and it's zilch.
And for what I understand also, in terms of the credential, people who have a credential who need to renew a credential, they can use up to 10 hours for supervision, but before anybody could do it. And now it's going to be a requirement for people to have a specialization. They will need to have a specialization. What is tricky for programs, because so far till now, everybody who had been, for example, in my program, as a student, they could count the hours to work. So when they were practicing supervision, people who received supervision from them, they were able to count the hours toward the CCEs to renew credentials, and now they're not going to be able to do it. Anybody who is in training in any program is not going to be able to provide supervision that is recognized for ICF to renew the credential. Is that clear? So if you are in a like people, for example, here we have several graduates from my program. When you went through my program, when you were practicing, all of the hours that you were offering of supervision, people can count these hours as CCEs. Now, because there is a specialization, if you want to use hours to renew your credential, you cannot do that with a student. It should be with somebody who already has a credential. Can you hear the difference?
So I have a question.
Yes.
does that mean that if I provide supervision now, that those individuals cannot count that as CCEs at this time because this announcement has been made? There's this like
No,
window.
it's starting next year. It's starting next year.
Okay.
So starting next year, they're going to be asking for that. But you're pretty close to get your credential with EMCC, aren't you? Because that counts. The EMCC credential counts for this.
Yes. Well, I don't know if I'll get it if this is an option. So I need to figure
Or
out
you should
if I
get
should.
both.
I should get both?
Yeah. Well, we can
We
continue
can
the
talk about that.
conversation. We can talk.
Okay.
Because it's also expensive, spending money.
Yes, that's why.
So that is, Michelle, going to be an issue because many people will consider why to have two credentials. Why to apply for the EMCC one when there is now one ICF? I think it may be a competition. I don't know. That would be an interesting question. Why or why?
I don't know, but the number of training hours is very different. Anyway, for instance, in France, we have decided that this will not count to be in our registry of supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough. We asked, in order to be in our registry in EMCC France, for instance, we ask at least 150 hours of training.
Mm-hmm.
One way or another.
Who is affected by this new specialization? So applicants and
Damian.
credentials. Yeah.
Hi, Dan. Sorry to interrupt you. I
No,
have
it's
a
okay.
follow-up question
Yes.
to Elaine's question. Just elaborate more my thinking. Now, let's say even though it's getting implemented from next year, someone who is applying next year could have received the supervision in the last 3 years. And in the last 3 years, the person who offered supervision could be a non-credentialed person. In that scenario, can that person count those hours or not?
That is not 100% clear. My intuition is that they will be able to count because they're pretty reasonable about giving people time to do things. So that's the reason why they are starting implementing next year. So probably they will give a time period where people can still apply and still use CCs if somebody is not accredited. Because remember also that they're still not available. So they cannot expect somebody to have an accreditation who is not yet available. So they need to give people time to get it. And then they may need to start requiring that at a later time. So I think that I assume that they will have some flexibility in terms of when they start the requirement to count. I don't think they said in January, but it seems to me that that's not enough time for people to get the specialization and get an accreditation to make that as a requirement.
Thank you for confirming, Damian. One more follow-up question. Like ICF is giving the opportunity for cross application, like to get supervision even if you have EMCC credential. Does EMCC is going to introduce something like that? If you have ICF supervision, certification, you can offer supervision for EMCC.
Well, I think that the standards for EMCC are much higher than for ICF, so I am not sure that they will accept that.
Yeah,
Okay.
the standards have nothing to do with what is in CSS.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
thank
standards.
you.
It's really, really very different and not enough for us.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah. Well,
Just like
this is for me to answer all your questions to the extent that I can. So that's the reason why
Okay.
whatever I'm saying is I'm telling you I'm not 100% sure. And if you're somebody from ICF, they are still developing some of these guidelines based on people's questions.
Yes. I'm here actually representing Korea Supervision the society here, actually for the first time, so I'm trying to capture things.
Okay, great.
We are in progress of like a credentials from EMCC for the supervision. So in that case, maybe next year we're going to also maybe in parallel, I can apply for that as well.
Yeah, there are two different things. So whenever you receive the one from ICF, you will decide if you want to get that too or not. It depends how many members. Maybe you don't have many ICF members. If they are ICF members, they may be interested. If they are not ICF members, they may not be interested.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Okay. But yeah, please ask any questions you may have. And maybe you can tell us more when you have more information about the Korea. Are you involved with the MCC? Are you helping to put together the conference next year? Are you involved with that at all?
I'm actually in the Korea, Supervision Society. So that I'm actually to join this year. So my information is still like very limited. But yes, we are belonging, and then our CMI, which is Coach Management Institute, and we are working together as I'm actually the partner coach in the CMI,
Great.
the Coach Management Institute.
Good. Well, welcome. We hope that you can continue coming. And you may invite other people to join too, so they can get to meet
Yeah,
people.
sure.
Here we have people
Yeah.
from all over Asia.
And
Yes,
by
That's
the
a
thank
coaching
way,
program too.
the EMTC CFE will stand up in Korea on in August.
Very much
On
looking forward
11th,
to it.
August 11th, we are doing a pitch in Korea on the framework.
Okay, great.
I'm
Good.
going to send you a mail about that, or
Yes, send in information. I'm
That'd be
happy to share
great.
that with the network.
Yeah.
I'm happy to share this with this network. And who knows, maybe there is a chance that we may have the first Asian Supervision Network conference in person in Korea, maybe before or after the EMCC conference. What do you think, Michelle? We can talk about that later. Okay,
Yeah,
let me
Sounds
that
finish.
would
exciting.
be an idea. Yeah.
Let me finish the slides here. Who benefit from this? So, or who is affecting? This is the question. Applicants and credential holders, because people who are going to be applying for accreditations, they need to know what are the expectations in terms of supervision. Supervisors, because you need to get a specialization with ICS, particularly if you are doing team supervision, team coaching supervision, is a requirement. And if you don't get it, you cannot offer that service. It's not going to be valid. And then the trainers, people who work in coaching supervision programs, also it is required for them to be aligned with the coaching supervision competencies and to have the specialization. So if you work in any supervision program, you may need also to go and get a specialization if you want to continue provide any services. And I think this is
Damian,
the
I have a
last.
question on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Can you go back one
Yes.
slide?
Yes.
So in the middle, it says supervisors, CSS counts as a valid credential for supervising ACTC. When I read the information, it seems like CSA counts as valid for supervising ACTC only if the CSS holder, the supervisor with the CSS, has ACTC. I don't, for instance,
That's an
I don't,
interesting question. That's an interesting question because I didn't see that anywhere that the supervisor need to have an ACTC too.
okay,
Have you seen that somewhere that
yes.
says that the supervisor to supervise ACTC candidate, they need to be an ACTC? And
I'll find it and pull it up.
okay, great. That's helpful. Thank you very much.
Damien, I saw it in your own slide. In your previous slide, I have made a note on that, which says either you need to have ICF certificate, or if you're having another similar certificate, you should also have ACTC. But in the previous slide, I have made a note on that.
This one.
Yeah, this one. You can see it says and ACTC. With CSS or with an accredited supervisor and ACTC.
You're right, and ACTC. Yeah. Okay, so that answered the question for you and Kendra. Thank you for, yeah, because this is from the website. So yeah, I didn't get it. I've just seen it now. When I had it, I didn't realize that. Yeah, so that's the answer. Need to have both.
I was complaining to Elaine about this on Friday because it means I don't have any intention of getting ACTC. It means that there's a whole group of clients that I can't have now, supervisees that I won't be able to have now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting question because this is another also philosophical discussion. Can you supervise team coaching without being a team coach? And there are different positions about that. Some people think you don't need to be a team coach to be able to supervise team coaches. But I think ICF believe that you do. So that is like, so now we are clear about the position. Kevin?
So I think where ICF is coming from is that because they put so much effort in terms of the advanced certification for team coaching, that if you are doing supervision, it needs to be somebody that has actually done a lot of work in the team space. So if you're going to supervise somebody who is a certified ACTC, then I think what ICF is trying to do is have somebody that has expertise in that, has experience supervising the team coaches. I think that's where ICF is coming from.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much for clarifying that, what makes sense. Okay, let me go over a couple of more slides. So what are the requirements to obtain the specialization? Specific training, experience, and alignment with standards. Basic requirements. So an ACC cannot get a specialization. It needs to be PCC or MCC, what makes completely sense. Hours of training, more than 41 hours of training. Only 40, for me, not a lot. For me, not a lot, 41 hours of training.
It's nothing.
For me, it's two. But do you know what? This is aligned with everything. If the minimum credential is the ACC, the first credential for ICF requires only 60 hours of training, it makes sense that for a specialization, they cannot ask more than that. So for me, not enough. But 50% needs to be synchronous, it needs to be live, interactive, and needs to be aligned with ICF competencies. And this is about the requirement of the training. Competency areas are the framework, ethics, reflection, group supervision, etc., the different competencies. Listen, other recognized credentials may help, but they do not replace the CSS requirement. So because you have an EMCC credential doesn't mean that you can provide supervision if you don't have the CSS. And then going to, Anushli, your question about the renewal, the idea is that every 3 years you will need to renew the specialization with 10 hours of coaching supervision training, 5 hours of supervision, apart, I think, of the 10 hours. So the 10 hours can be completely entirely with coaching supervision. I know, so they are not apart, they are part of that. So you may just do 10 hours of coaching supervision, maybe enough, you don't need to do training. Okay, so this is it.
So is this, Damian, is this supervision of supervision that it needs to be?
Yes.
I want to make sure I understand that last the 10 and the 5.
Yes.
Saying that you can receive a total of 15 hours of supervision, and that would be
no. So you need 10 hours. From the 10 hours that you need to have at least 5 that will be supervision.
I'm receiving. Okay.
And then you can have 5 more hours of training, or you may have 10 hours of supervision.
Okay. So I receive 10 hours of supervision to renew, or 5 hours of supervision and 5 hours of other training?
This is my understanding. But who knows? From here, first we need to have the accreditation coming out, the specialization coming out. Then when the renewal time comes, they
Okay.
may change whatever they ask.
Yes.
So who
Okay.
knows? They may ask by that time, that may be different.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I also like to share an observation that happened recently after they announced.
Mhm.
I think based on certain feedback, they went back and revised certain things, and
Yeah.
someone has commented about it on LinkedIn. So that also says that this can evolve, though it looks like this for now. They can even change few things based on the feedback that they're receiving.
Thank you. Starting by the name, it was
Mhm.
going to be called qualification. So they changing from qualification to specialization. But I do believe it's better, much better,
Mm.
particularly to translate to other languages.
So,
Okay. Yeah, any other questions before we wrap up? I want to cover briefly maybe what we can do, we can formally finish this session, and the people who are interested in the mentor coaching specialization, you can stay 10, 15 more minutes and I can go over that with you because it may not be of interest to everybody. So we're going to finish this formally and then we'll stay a few minutes talking about the mentor coaching one.
Mhm.
Yes, Elaine.
So I just want to understand the application to get the specialization would be your Damian, the certificate of your program and maybe the curriculum outline that supports that, or will your program be like approved in some system in advance?
No, you don't have, I say, you
Okay.
don't have any exceptions with anybody. Like
Okay.
everybody will have to have your
Okay.
own
So
document.
certificate and then the outline of the
And I will
curriculum.
prepare that. I will prepare that, and I think that
Okay.
you may ask, Michelle, you have a school, you may want to work on that too for people who may be interested in that. And CSA, people who
That's
are
the
involved with
reason.
CSA, you need to ask CSA to come up with a document.
Yeah.
And then you submit your hours, like an honor
I
system
didn't
as
see
well.
hours. I didn't see a number of hours yet. So we need to wait to see because it's not out yet. So you see the website doesn't mention any numbers of hours, how many hours. Like for team coaching, you need to work with 5 teams. With the specialization of supervision, it asks for hours of training, but not for hours of experience. I have not seen it yet. So it may or may not be an element on that. We will find out together, Elaine, about that piece.
Okay.
Do you know when the application might be available, Damien?
They say mid-June.
Mid-June.
Oh, okay.
And I was really planning to go for the EMCC accreditation, but you're saying I wouldn't need both?
This is a tricky question and a tricky answer because this is very personal. As you can see, EMCC accreditation has higher standards than the ICF one. But the question will be for you too, who are your clients? If your clients are mainly in Europe, you no question about it. If your clients are global, no question. But if your clients and the coaches you're going to be working are only in the United States, then you may want to reflect on that and based on who your client, your coach you're going to be working are, what you want to have.
Yeah. And is it still 120 hours of experience needed for EMCC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. I'm getting
Which are one-to-one supervision, not group supervision.
got it.
You
Yes.
can count some for group supervision too, don't you, Michelle? Some of the hours can be group
Well,
supervision, a percentage.
there is a big discussion around that, and it will be clarified within 15 days, I think.
Okay, we'll find out. I hope they keep it because I think that many people in part of the training need group supervision too. So yeah, and they're working as group supervisors. I think that should be counted.
Yeah. But the problem is that a lot of people who say they do group supervision, it's in fact a meeting with red wine and shrimps and sausage.
You're right. You know,
Yeah.
people do all this. Who knows?
And they discuss about I don't know what, and they call that group supervision. So So really, I mean, a clear definition is needed. I hope it will be published very soon and that we can count some group supervision hours.
So Michelle, would be interested next month if since today we talk about ICF credential, why don't you or Clara, somebody from the team come here to this space and share what EMCC is coming up with everything you shared that you're working on? Would that work? Would that be possible?
Yes, I think yeah, we can do. I mean,
Let's do
I'm going to talk to Clara and the team right after that. I mean, this afternoon, and discuss that.
Yeah, everybody found that interesting too, to find out EMCC's new changes, thinking what's going on, so we can all be updated. Good.
I
Well,
especially want to know if the red wine is a requirement.
oh, I
Or can
really
you have
need.
white?
I really need. That's what I want to
Yeah, I
know.
mean, but depending the country, it's red wine or beer.
Okay, thanks everybody. Great to see
Yeah,
you.
and
Hope we can
then
make it next
Damien,
time.
one more question. Damien, one
Yes.
more question.
Yes.
In ICF earlier, they have mentioned either you offer supervision or receive supervision. You can count that as a CCU as supervision. What's happening to that based on these changes?
That will probably change. That will probably change. We will find out. I have not heard the last word on that, but my intuition is that being a supervisor is not going to count anymore for CCs.
Okay, thank you.
But
Yeah, maybe I have a very quick questions.
Yeah.
Can we get more information about the mentoring and the supervision via ICF? Is there anywhere the resources that I can access to?
Yeah, definitely. If you have any question, well, there is in the website, there is information, and then there are emails where you can ask any question you want, and then eventually you will hear back. It's better. Listen, I have been a member for 20 years. It's much better than what it used to be. Okay, it's much better than it was to be. So we have to give credit to the staff. So you write to support@coachfederation.org and ask any question you want, and they eventually will answer any question you have.
Okay, great.
And if you don't hear back, send me a note, and I will see if I can help you. And by the way, everybody here received the Asian newsletter, because some of you may have been here because you saw my flyer in different places, but everybody here is receiving our newsletter with the Asian Supervisors Network. Okay, if you do not receive it and want to receive it, please write down your email and I will add you so you can receive the invitation. Now, the invitation for this meeting, I put it in my newsletter from my company. It came out at the beginning of the month. I sent the newsletter for the Asian Supervision Network. I put the flyer in the LinkedIn group. By the way, there is a LinkedIn group with the America's Coaching Supervision Network. If you are not part of that group, I highly recommend that you go there because a lot of resources about supervision is being shared in that group. So you go to LinkedIn and you go America's Coaching Supervision Network and you will get there. And I think you need to apply to be accepted, and then we will get you to so you can be part of that. And so the information is shared in different places.
Damien, one more question. Is there any place right now active to practice supervision in your training cohorts?
What we do is we have chains. So when people finish the programs, they continue working in chains. Carrie, are you still working in a chain in yours, or is anybody here still working with your chains? Because maybe you can, I'm not sure you can join one of the chains next time that they start a rotation.
Sure. Thank you so much.
So maybe,
Yeah, we're doing a chain.
yeah, so most of the group, when they finish, they continue practicing with each other in chains. So that can be a possibility initially for you to do that. And if anybody is interested in being in a chain, send me a note and I can contact you with one of the classes of the graduates. So we're going to finish this formally. Next month, we know we're going to be talking about the EMCC update, and maybe you can also do an update about the conference and do, like, if you are up to it too, about what happened around supervision. And then we need volunteers for the rest of the year. If anybody is interested in doing a presentation, please, we need you. This is a community. We all do this together. So some of you have already done presentations. If you have not done one yet, please. Jan Elvir, Mel, Anushli.
I have done it already, Damian.
I know. This is I'm naming the people who have done it. Yes, all of you have done it.
More than
Carrie have
one
done it.
time.
But I still need volunteers. So anybody who is interested in presenting about anything related to supervision, please let me know. So you can support this community. It's open to everybody. And everybody have a chance to present and facilitate conversation. They don't have to be lectures, can be facilitating a conversation on a topic, and you just bring some questions. So
I'm not volunteering, but I want to know the name of the group again on LinkedIn for this network. Coaching.
We don't have one for the Asian. We use the Americas Coaching Supervision Network.
Got it.
And under that, we also put information about the Asian network.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and other things, other stuff going on. Okay, great seeing everyone. We'll see you next month. I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to stay 5 more minutes talking about the other specialization for people who want to stay.